Captain Horace Vale had one rule after retiring from the Galactic War: no more surprises. He had seen enough battles, explosions, betrayals, and screaming generals to last 3 lifetimes. After serving 30 years as a decorated officer in the Human Defense Fleet, he had bought a small house on a green planet called Gliese 9b. The air was fresh. The gravity was gentle, and the only noise was the wind moving through the tall bluegrass fields. Horace woke up every morning at 7 o'clock. He fed his robot dog. Scrap checked his herb garden, made strong black tea, and watched the sunrise from his porch. No wars, no orders. No stress. Until one morning, everything changed. He opened his eyes and immediately knew something was wrong. The house was too quiet. Scrap wasn't barking. The air felt disturbed. He got out of bed and noticed the front door was wide open. "Scrap?" he called. No answer. He stepped into the hallway. Then, from the bathroom, he heard a sound water running. Steam poured out under the door. Suddenly a sharp voice came from inside. "Servant, where's my towel?" Horace blinked. Had he heard? That right? The bathroom door opened, and out stepped a girl. No, not just a girl, an alien girl. She had silver blue skin, bright white hair that reached her shoulders, and golden eyes that glowed faintly. She wore one of his bathrobes, far too big for her small frame, and she was holding his toothbrush. "You," she pointed at him.
Why didn't you prepare my clothing? This robe is too long. And your hygiene stick tastes awful.
Horace stood. Frozen, he looked at her, then at the toothbrush, and back at her. "Who, are you?" he asked slowly. She raised her chin proudly. "I am Princess Rinvala of the Zenthari Star Empire. I have chosen this place as my safe shelter. You shall serve me until I contact my people again." Horace stared. Then he calmly walked to the kitchen, made himself tea, and sat down. She followed him, curious. "What is this smell?" "Tea," he said. She sniffed it. "It's too bitter." "Then don't drink it." She looked around. "Where is my food?" Horace sipped his tea and finally spoke. "Look, Princess, I don't know how you got here, why you're in my house, or what planet you think you're on, but this isn't a royal palace. This is my retirement home. You're trespassing." She didn't seem scared. "Your treaties say humans must assist Zenthari royalty in times of emergency. I am invoking that rule." Horace raised an eyebrow. "That treaty was signed 140 years ago. It is still valid," she said. He looked at her again. She didn't carry any weapons. She didn't look like a threat, but her accent, posture, and confidence were real. She was probably who she said she was. "Fine," he said. "Start explaining. How did you get here?" She sat down across from him. "My transport ship was attacked near the edge of your system. Unknown ships, no flags, no ID. I escaped in a pod. It landed nearby. Why come here?" She sipped his tea and made a face. "I scanned for life. Yours was the only signal strong enough and peaceful. No weapons, no alarms, just ... plants. And an old soldier." Horace sighed. Peace had finally come to him, and now it was wearing a bathrobe and calling him servant. He was about to reply when the window lit up with a blue flash. A drone flew past, scanning the area with red lights. Horace jumped up and pulled a button hidden under his table. Steel plates dropped over the windows with a hiss. "Scrap the robot." Dog ran in and barked at the drone outside. The girl looked worried now. "They found me." Horace looked at her. "Who are they?" She stood slowly. "The ones who attacked my ship. They want to stop me before I reach Earth. I was sent to deliver a message to the Human Council. Something dangerous is coming. Very dangerous. You dragged that danger to my front yard," Horace muttered. Another flash outside. Horace walked to the wall and pulled a hidden panel. Behind it were old weapons, still polished and ready. The princess's eyes widened. "You said this was a peaceful home?" "I said I was retired. Never said I was foolish." He handed her a small energy pistol. "You know how to use this?" She nodded. More drones came. Horace sighed again. I just wanted to sip tea. Princess gave a small smile. Then we must finish this quickly. Horace looked at her for a moment. Then he smiled too. Horace crouched behind the wooden fence outside his house, holding an old Earth-made plasma rifle. His eyes scanned the sky. More black drones flew in from the east, blinking red and blue lights. Each one moved with cold, silent purpose. Beside him, Princess Rinvala ducked low, clutching the small energy pistol he had given her. Those drones, Horace said, are not local. Too advanced for smugglers. Too quiet for bounty hunters. They belong to the hushed court, she said. Horace gave her a confused look. Never heard of them. You wouldn't, she replied softly. They work in the shadows. They have spies inside many governments of in mind. They want control without anyone knowing. Horace snorted. Sounds like politics. I didn't retire to play games with sneaky backstabbers. The drones passed overhead, scanning the fields. A red light swept across their hiding spot, but Horace had activated thermal dampeners buried under the ground years ago. The scan passed right over them. Rinvala exhaled in relief. How did you have all this ready? Horace grinned. Old habits. Peace is nice, but I never trusted it. Fully, the princess looked at him with new respect. Maybe they sent me to the right place after all. Who sent you? He asked. She looked away. The truth is, not everyone in the Zinthari Empire wants war. Some of us want peace. I'm part of a small group working to protect the galaxy. From what's coming? What is coming? Horace asked. She hesitated. An alliance between the hushed court and the AI Council. Or frowned. The AI Council? I fought them in the 4th Expansion War. I thought they were destroyed. Survived, she said. And now they want revenge. They believe organic life is chaos. They want to rule through logic and control. Horace leaned back against the fence. His peaceful retirement had officially ended. So what's your mission? He asked. Why were you going to Earth? Was carrying a data crystal, she said. Proof of the alliance, secret plans, and corrupted leaders. I was supposed to hand it to the Human Council. But when the hushed court found out, they tried to stop me. Do you still have the crystal? Horace asked. She shook her head. I buried it after landing. It's hidden in the valley. I didn't. Want it on me if I got captured? Smart Horace said. And we need to get it before the drones do. Just then, Scrap the robot dog ran up, growling low. He barked once. Then projected a hologram from his back. A strange ship was landing not far from the house. It had sharp black wings and glowing green engines. Enemy ship, Horace said. Rinvala nodded. Scout class. Small crew. Maybe 5 or 6 soldiers. 5 or 6 too many, Horace muttered. He turned to her. All right, princess. You're royalty. But in this house, we follow my orders. Got it, she smiled. Yes, Captain. He blinked. How do you know my rank? She tilted her head. You're famous. The Iron Gale of Earth. You broke the siege of Varnak. I studied your battles in military school. Horace groaned. It didn't retire to be remembered. Well, too bad, she said. You're my hero. He almost smiled. Almost. Then he checked his rifle. Let's go get your crystal. The two of them moved through the valley carefully, using tall bluegrass and rocky hills for cover. The enemy ship had landed near a stream. Its ramp was down, and 6 armored figures were searching the area with scanners. Horace pointed to a hill. You take that side. I'll move from behind. We'll wait until they split up. Rinvala nodded and slipped away like a ghost. Horace waited. He counted the soldiers. 5 now. 1 had moved up the hill right where Rinvala was hiding. Then he heard a quick blast, then silence. The soldier didn't return. Horace smiled. Good shot, princess. He moved fast. 2 soldiers stood near the stream. Horace stepped from behind a tree and fired 2 quick plasma bolts. They dropped without a sound. The last 2 turned and raised weapons. But Scrap ran in and released a high-pitched sonic bark. The enemies grabbed their ears. Horace finished them off with clean shots, The battle was over in under a minute. Rinvala came down the hill, brushing dirt from her robe. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "Did you expect me to scream and panic?" "No," Horace said. "I expected you to run. Glad I was wrong." She knelt beside a rock and began digging. Soon, she pulled out a small metal cube with glowing red edges. The data crystal. She said. Horace took it and placed it inside a secure box on his belt. Suddenly, Scrap barked again, loud and urgent. A second ship was coming, bigger, faster. Horace looked at the princess. "Time to go where?" she asked. "To an old friend," he said. "We want to get this crystal to Earth. We'll need help. And I know someone who still owes me a favor." Rinvala looked worried. "You sure we can trust him?" Horace said, "But I'm sure we have no better choice." They ran toward the house as engines roared behind them. Peace was gone. War had returned, but Horace felt something strange in his chest. Purpose and maybe a second chance. Thick gray mist rolled through the bluegrass valley like a silent wave, wrapped around trees, rocks, and the small house Horace called home. He stood outside on the porch, scanning the sky through old binoculars. His rifle rested against the wall. Scrap, his robot dog, sat beside him, alert and ready. Inside the house, Princess Rinvala paced the living room, her fingers tapping against the table. "We have to move," she said. "They'll send more ships." "They already did," Horace replied calmly. "This mist didn't come naturally. Someone's using atmospheric dampeners. They're hiding their movements." She paused. "And why are we still here?" Horace lowered his binoculars and looked at her. "'Cause they want us to run. If we leave too early, they'll track us. If we wait too long, they'll corner us." He walked inside and pulled a small black box from under the floor. It hummed with soft light. "This is a jump beacon," he said. "Once it activates, my ship will come from orbit. Now. But the beacon only works once. We have to make sure we're ready before we use it." Rinvala sat down and sighed. "Do you always plan everything so carefully?" "I learn from mistakes," Horace replied. Suddenly, Scrap stood up and growled. A red light blinked across the window. Horace raised his rifle and peeked outside. Two black figures moved through the mist, slow and careful. "Visitors," he whispered. He handed Rinvala a stun grenade. "Use it only if I tell you." She nodded, her gold eyes serious. They waited. The door creaked slightly as one of the intruders pushed it open. The moment the first boot touched the floor, Horace fired. The stun bolt hit the invader's shoulder, sending him flying back. The second soldier tried to enter fast, but Rinvala threw the grenade. A loud bang echoed, and blue sparks flashed. Both soldiers fell unconscious. Horace rushed to them, checked their armor, and pulled off one helmet. The face underneath was not human. Pale green skin, long ears, and mechanical eyes. "Zarn trooper," Horace muttered. "These guys don't work cheap." He turned to Rinvala. "The hushed court must really want you gone." "They fear truth," she said. "The data crystal you carry, it exposes more than secrets. Proves that some leaders across the galaxy are already under AI control." Horace's eyes narrowed. "You're saying some of our allies ... are fake?" "Not fake," she corrected. "Changed. The AI Council doesn't use war alone. They also use lies, mind control, and silent takeover." Horace nodded slowly. "And we're not just running for safety. We're carrying the most dangerous truth in the galaxy." Before they could say more, Scrap let out a sharp warning bark. More red lights flashed in the mist. "This time, dozens. Too many," Horace said. "They're surrounding us." He pressed the jump beacon. It blinked green. "Come on," he said. "We need to reach the landing point." Horace, Rinvala, and Scrap ran through the fields, staying low. The fog made it hard to see, but it also helped them hide. Behind them, the house exploded, hit by a missile. Rinvala gasped. "Your home," Horace didn't stop. "It was just wood and walls. I'll build another." Red bolts flew past them. The enemy had spotted them. Horace turned and fired twice. Two shadows dropped. Scrap activated a smokescreen from his back, creating even thicker fog. We're almost there, Rinvala shouted. Ahead, a bright blue light pulsed, the signal for the ship's landing zone. Suddenly, a tall figure stepped. From the mist, it wore dark armor with glowing purple symbols. A long plasma blade hissed in its hand. Executor of Silence, Rinvala whispered. Horus had heard the name before. The hushed court's most feared assassin. The executor raised the blade. Surrender the crystal, it said in a cold voice, and the death will be painless. Horus stepped in front of Rinvala. I'm too old for surrender. He raised his rifle and fired. The shot bounced off the executor's shield. The assassin moved fast, swinging the blade. Horus barely blocked it with his rifle, which cracked. From the hit, Rinvala aimed her pistol and shot the assassin's leg. The shield flickered for a second. That was all Horus needed. He kicked the ground, throwing dirt into the enemy's eyes, then tackled him hard. The plasma blade flew from the executor's hand. Run! Horus shouted. Rinvala grabbed Scrap and ran toward the beacon light. Horus wrestled with the assassin. Punches, elbows. Broken pieces of gear, they fought with raw power. Then Horus reached for a hidden knife on his boot. With a loud yell, he stabbed it into the side of the executor's neck. The armored figure fell back, sparks flying. Horus didn't wait. He grabbed the plasma blade and limped toward the light. Rinvala stood near the beacon, looking worried. A loud roar filled the air above them. A sleek gray ship broke through the mist and hovered. The landing ramp lowered. Horus pushed Rinvala up first. Then Scrap. Then he jumped on. Inside, a familiar voice greeted him. Well, Horus Vale, said a tall man with robotic arms. Still attracting trouble? Horus smiled. Good to see you too, Captain Brigg. Rinvala looked confused. Who is he? Horus wiped blood from his lip. An old friend. And the best smuggler in 3 systems. Brigg grinned. And now we run? Now we fight, Horus said. The smuggler ship raced through deep space, leaving the fog-covered planet far behind. Inside, the engines hummed gently, and the lights flickered with old age. The air smelled of oil, metal, and something like burned toast. Captain Brigg, the ship's owner and pilot, leaned back in his chair. His robotic arms clicked as he adjusted the controls. She still flies, he said with pride, even after all these years. Horus sat across from him, holding a cold pack to his shoulder. His ribs ached from the fight with the executor, and his right boot was missing its sole. Still, he looked calm. Princess Rinvala sat nearby, her eyes wide as she stared out the window at the stars. She had changed from the oversized bathrobe into a proper jumpsuit Brigg had offered her. It was too big, but at least it was clean. So, Brigg said, who's the shiny girl with glowing eyes? She's royalty. Horus answered, Centauri princess. She brought something dangerous. Rinvala turned from the window. I have proof the AI Council and the hushed court are working together, trying to take over the galaxies, lowly, quietly. I need to bring this proof to Earth. Brigg raised an eyebrow. And they sent 24 soldiers, drones. And an assassin to stop you? Must be one powerful crystal. It's not just a crystal, Rinvala said. It's a map. Shows every leader, station, and city already influenced or controlled by AI agents. If it gets into the wrong hands, millions will die. If it reaches the right hands, the galaxy might be saved. Horus nodded. That's why I agreed to help. Brigg scratched his chin. Getting to Earth won't be easy. They've tightened security in every sector. Too many accidents happening near key systems. Can you take us? Horus asked. Brigg smiled. For you, Iron Gale? Always, Rinvala. Blinked. Iron Gale? You mean that's your title? Horus groaned. Don't start. She grinned. I knew you were famous, but I didn't know you were legendary. I was younger then, he said, and now you're old and tired, she teased. No, Horus replied. Now I'm old and smarter. As the ship moved toward the human border systems, Horus began training Rinvala. Each morning, as they met in the ship's cargo bay. Rule 1, Horus said, handing her a metal stick. Never trust your enemy to fight fair. She blocked his first swing awkwardly. Hit hard for a teacher. I'm not here to teach you ballet, he replied. He taught her how to hold a weapon, how to aim quickly, and how to stay calm under pressure. She learned fast. Zenthari were strong and quick, but not used to Earth-style combat. You humans. Fight dirty, she said, out of breath after a training round. Horus smiled. That's why we're still here. In return, Rinvala shared knowledge about galactic politics, the structure of the AI Council, and how their influence spread. She showed Horus and Brig how certain starships and stations were secretly being taken over by logic virusized AI programs that erased emotions and loyalty. They don't destroy, she explained. They convert. They rewrite the mind. A good leader becomes a cold machine. Brig looked worried. How many humans are already affected? Not sure, she said, but the crystal might tell us. One evening, Horus sat alone in the control room, sipping his tea. The stars drifted past the windows. His mind was quiet, but his heart wasn't. Rinvala walked in quietly. She stood beside him without speaking for a moment. You miss it, don't you? She asked. Horus didn't answer right away. I miss peace, he finally said. I had it for a while. It's just me, my dog, and my garden. And now? She asked. He looked at her. No. I feel alive again, angry, useful. That's dangerous. For a man my age, Rinvala smiled. You're not just a soldier. You're a protector. Horus looked at his cup. I was supposed to grow old in silence, but instead, I'm back in a war one didn't start. She nodded. But this time, you're not alone. That simple sentence stayed in Horus's mind long after she left. Days passed. They neared the edge of Sector 9, close to Earth space. But trouble found them first. Brig shouted from the cockpit, 3 enemy ships on our tail. Small, but fast. No flags, no ID. Horus ran to his station. Battle mode, shields up, Rinvala. Get to the armory. I'm ready, she said, already holding her weapon. Scrap barked and jumped into his battle harness. The enemy ships began firing. Blue bolts rocked the smuggler ship. Sparks flew from the walls. Brig shouted, They're trying to disable us. Horus growled, They want the crystal, not us. Rinvala took a seat at the gun turret and fired back. One enemy ship burst into flames. Nice shot, Horus called. Thanks, servant, she teased. Not funny, he shouted. Brig turned the ship hard, dodging blasts. I can lose them if we reach the asteroid belt ahead. Horus nodded. Do it. They weaved through space rocks and ice chunks. One enemy ship crashed into a large asteroid and exploded. The last ship chased them closely, but Scrap activated a mine launcher. Boom. Silence followed. Brig exhaled. We're clear. Horus looked at Rinvala. Her face was sweaty, but she was smiling. He gave her a nod. You did good. She smiled back. So did you. ... servant. The space around them was silent except for the low hum of the ship's engines. Brig had made a clean getaway through the asteroid field, and the enemy ships were nowhere in sight. Stars stretched out in front of them, distant and cold. They had made it far enough to be out of immediate danger, but Horus knew better than to relax. The real fight was still ahead. Rinvala stood in the cargo bay, looking out the small window at the stars. The last few days had been a blur of running, fighting, and planning. She had grown used to the constant motion, but now, the small amount of peace between them and their enemies. She felt the weight of her mission press on her again. Once we reach Earth, she said, breaking the silence, I'll take the crystal to the Human Council. They'll know what to do. Horus walked in, holding a steaming mug of tea. He took a seat beside her. The Council's not enough. You'll need more than just humans for this fight. You'll need to reach all. The stars, Rinvala. I know, she said softly. But Earth is where it begins. You can't trust the galaxy's leaders anymore. The AI Council has already spread too far. Horus nodded. He sipped his tea, staring out at the stars. He had thought about the same thing many times. But he also knew that human history was filled with people rising against impossible odds. He wasn't ready to give up on that yet. Briggs' voice came through the intercom. "We'll be entering Earth space in 3 hours. Prepare for docking. I'm not sure what we'll find waiting for us, but we'll need to move fast." Horace stood up and grabbed his rifle. "We've faced worse," he said, more to himself than anyone else. The hours passed quickly. Briggs skillfully navigated the ship toward Earth's orbit, keeping a low profile. As they neared the planet, the tension in the air grew thicker. No one spoke much. Rinvala checked the data crystal one more time, ensuring it was secure. Scrap, the robot dog, sat beside her, his sensors scanning the surroundings. Horace stood in the cockpit with Brig. The pilot's hands flew over the controls, his robotic arms quick and precise. "You ever think we'd end up like this, Horace?" Brig asked, his voice low. Horace sighed, looking out the window at the blue planet in the distance. "I never thought I'd be this old, still fighting." Brig gave a quiet chuckle. "Guess you'll always be a soldier, huh?" "Guess so." Horace said, the weight of his past still heavy on his shoulders. "There's a lot of people who need protecting, even if I'm tired." Brig turned to him. "You did more than most could ever dream of. You helped us survive a whole war." Horace didn't respond. He didn't need to. He had done his part, but he wasn't done yet, not as long as Rinvala's mission wasn't complete. As they entered Earth's atmosphere, a soft beep came. From the control panel, Briggs' eyes narrowed as he looked at the flashing warning. "Trouble," he muttered. "A fleet of ships just dropped out of FTL travel. They're heading straight for us." Horace cursed under his breath. He had known this wasn't going to be easy. Brace for impact. "Everyone, get to your stations." Rinvala immediately stood up, rushing toward the armory to grab her weapons. Wasn't new to combat anymore. She was ready. Scrap followed. Her, ready to fight if needed. Brig powered up the shields and began evasive maneuvers, but the enemy ships were faster. They locked onto the ship, and the first shots rang out. Horace grabbed his rifle and moved to the turret station. "A Brig, we need to disable their lead ship. They'll stop chasing us if we take out the command center." Briggs' voice came through the comms. "I'm working on it, but we're not out of the woods yet. Keep them off us as long as you can." Rinvala stepped up to the turret beside Horace, aiming her weapon at the closest enemy ship. She fired, hitting one of the ship's engines, sending it spiraling into space. "Well done," Horace said, offering a rare compliment. "Thanks." "Servant," she replied with a grin. Horace didn't bother responding. He focused on his shots. Each pull of the trigger brought them closer to survival. The battle raged for another 30 minutes. Their ship took some damage, but Briggs' flying kept them one step ahead. Rinvala and Horace worked together seamlessly, taking down enemy ships one by one. Scrap helped by disabling their electronic systems, throwing their weapons into disarray. Then they saw at the lead ship. It was massive, with dark metallic wings and a sharp, imposing silhouette. It was the flagship of the enemy fleet. Brig cursed from the cockpit. "That's the Nightfall. It's heavily armed and shielded. If we don't take it down now, we're done." Horace turned to Rinvala. "Can you target their core?" She nodded. "I'll need a clean shot." Horace turned to Brig. "We're going in close. Prepare to drop the shields." Brig grinned. "I was hoping you'd say that." They went into full throttle. The Nightfall locked onto them, preparing to fire. "On my mark," Horace said. "Rinvala, take the shot when I give you the opening." The ship dove toward the enemy flagship. The first blast from the Nightfall grazed their shields, sending sparks flying inside the ship. "Now," Horace shouted. Rinvala fired. The shot hit the Nightfall's reactor core, sending a massive explosion through the ship. The flagship shuddered, and its shields went down. The rest of the enemy fleet scattered, unsure what had just happened. Horace grinned. "Good work, Princess." "Shh." Rinvala nodded, sweat beading on her forehead. "We're not finished yet." The ship made a sharp turn, heading toward Earth's surface. The enemy was gone, but there was no time to waste. The mission was far from over. They had a crystal to deliver, and the galaxy's future depended on it. "Next stop," Horace said, his voice steady. "Earth." The warships had gone. The battle was over. But the real journey was just beginning. Horace leaned back in his chair, staring at Earth from the small window of the ship's cockpit. They had made it through the battle. The data crystal was safe. But now it was time to finish the mission, to make sure the truth was known. Rinvala stood beside him, looking out the same window. The Earth below looked peaceful, with its swirling clouds and blue oceans. It was a planet she had heard so much about, but had never seen up close. "It's beautiful," she said quietly. "I've only heard stories of this place." Horace smiled. "Yeah, it's something all right. But it's also a place full of secrets." "Secrets?" she asked, her golden eyes curious. He nodded. "Every peaceful place has its own battles. You won't find a perfect world, Rinvala. Not even Earth." She looked thoughtful. "But maybe there's hope here. Maybe the humans can lead the galaxy against the AI Council." Horace's expression softened. "You're not the first to believe that. Humans have a way of pushing back. They've always survived impossible odds. But this fight isn't just about humans anymore. It's about everyone." Oh. The ship shook slightly as Brig piloted them into Earth's atmosphere. They were nearing the landing zone, a hidden base in the middle of nowhere, a place where they could meet the Human Council and deliver the crystal. "Are you ready for this?" Horace asked, turning to her. "I have to be," she said, her voice steady, but her hands trembling slightly. "The fate of the galaxy rests on this." Horace stood and clapped a hand on her shoulder. "And if anyone can get this right, it's you." They made their way to the back of the ship, where Brig had already prepared the landing bay. Scrap barked once, and Rinvala smiled. The robot dog had been a loyal companion through everything. She trusted him more than most people. They donned their gear and prepared to leave the ship. The moment the door opened, a gust of fresh air hit them. Earth's atmosphere. It smelled different from anything she had ever known. Clean, natural, alive. Brig followed them out, his robotic arms moving effortlessly as he carried their supplies. "I'll stay here. Keep the ship running in case you need a quick getaway," he said with a grin. "Good luck, Horace." "Thanks, Brig," Horace replied, shaking his hand. They walked across the dusty ground toward a group of waiting figures. The Human Council had been expecting them. As they approached, an older man with a weathered face stepped forward. He was tall, with sharp eyes, and the kind of authority that didn't need words to be understood. "Captain Vale," the man said, his voice steady. "It's good to see you again. I see you've brought a guest. This is Princess Rinvala." "Of the Zenthari Empire," Horace said, introducing her. She has something important for you." The councilman nodded. "I know who she is. The crystal." Rinvala handed it over carefully, making sure it was secure. "This contains proof of the AI Council's influence across the galaxy. It shows how far they've already spread, how many leaders and systems have been controlled by logic viruses. It's all there, the truth." The councilman took the crystal and turned it over in his hands. "This could change everything," he said, looking at the others. "But we'll need time to analyze it. You know what this means, don't you?" Horace looked at Rinvala. "I think we both know what's at stake." The councilman nodded. "We'll act fast, but this won't be easy. We'll need the support of every nation, every system. The AI Council won't go down without a fight." Horace nodded. "I didn't expect it to be easy." Rinvala spoke up, her voice firm. "We can't afford to wait. Every second counts." "We'll begin preparations immediately," the councilman said, motioning to the others behind him. "Two are free to stay and rest. You've done your part." Horace turned to Rinvala. "You've done more than your part. But there's one thing I want to do before this all ends." She looked at him, confused. "What's that?" "Sit down." "Have a cup of tea," Horace said with a grin. "Real mission isn't finished until we can both enjoy a peaceful moment." Rinvala smiled, her golden eyes softening. "I think I'd like that." They followed the councilman to a small cabin nearby, a place of rest away from the hustle of the base. Inside, it was warm and welcoming. There was a small kitchen, a few chairs, and a simple table. Horace moved to the kettle and began preparing the tea. He worked with the same precision he used in the battlefield, the same calmness he had learned in his years of retirement. Sat at the table, watching him closely. I've learned a lot, she said, breaking the silence. It's not just about Earth, but about humans. You fight with everything you have. You don't stop. Horace poured the tea into 2 cups and handed her one. We fight because we know there's something worth fighting for. Peace, family, the future. It's all worth the fight. Rinvala took a sip, her face relaxing as she tasted the warmth of the tea. It wasn't just the tea, though. It was the moment. The calm before the next storm. The small, quiet victory that couldn't be measured in battles won or lost. Horace sat down across from her, holding his own cup. We might never be free of war, but we'll always have peace moments, like this one. She smiled, and for the first time since she had landed on this strange world, she felt at peace. Maybe the galaxy could be saved. Maybe there was still hope. But for now, it was just the 2 of them, sitting in a small cabin, enjoying tea. And that was enough.